The video you are watching, of course, is a Kwara community where the Fulani bandits sacked a full community. So we begin to wonder what is the plan and intention of these bandits who are majorly Fulani militias. But the question here is, I think it has gotten to the point where the president himself, talking about Senator Bola Tinubu, should use his good office to ensure that he restructure this country. He should restructure the country to the point where the people should own the security of lives and property. Because for me, the security of lives and property is paramount. Because even from the constitutional point of view, it's very clear that the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. More so, as the constitution have already put the responsibility of protecting lives and property in the hands of the president, the governors, and the local government chairman. Because the way it is, I don't know what the militias is their ultimate aim. Because you look and see they have unfinished business in Kwara State. Business going into the story of the Afonja and Jata Alimi, how the Fulanis took over a once Yoruba community, talking about Ilorin. It's no longer, it's a known fact that before the issue of Janta Alimi, of course, the Kwara State, Ilorin to be precise, was under the Alafe of Oyo, who obviously appoints the traditional ruler or rather chiefs that preside over that environment. And it happened that the Afonja had alliance with Janta Alimi, who over the years took over the place, I think in sometime 18th century. But from what we are seeing, look at see the Fulanis have an unfinished business in Kwara State. Though the issue of banditry is not restricted to Kwara State, but seeing that we are currently seeing a serious renewed attack, unprecedented in Kwara State, I think the president should beam his satellite on Kwara State and let us have this issue of security reject to the point where the community start owning the security of lives and property. And again, if you even look at the statement that came from Buba Galadima recently, a chieftain of the New Nigerian People's Party, how they brought Buhari into politics, and the reason behind bringing Buhari into politics. He was emphatic that the reason they brought Buhari into politics was because he said the Oduduwa People's Congress, OPC, and the Yoruba people were trying to dismantle the structure of the Fulanis in Kwara State. We need to wonder, a place that is not originally yours, you are even questioning the original owners, because we understand that even currently the Yorubas dominate that place, talking about Kwara in terms of population. But the leadership, political leadership, in terms of monarchical system of government, traditional system of government, is not controlled by the Fulani under the direct leadership of the Sultan of Sokoto. But again, let me bring you what Buba Galadima said, for you to have a sense of what we are discussing, for you to know that there may be a larger picture to this. That is why the president must ensure that he uses the good office to restructure the country to the extent where communities, localities start owning security of lives and property. And I think the forest guard is a good start. But again, let me read from Daily Post. He said, we brought Buhari into politics to stop OPC dismantling Fulani in Ilorin, Buba Galadima. You go for that to say that a chieftain of the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, Buba Galadima, has explained how some northern group recruited late President Muhammadu Buhari into Nigerian politics. The NNPP chieftain disclosed this on Thursday while feeding questions on Arise Television's morning show program. Galadima specifically stated that the late Buhari was brought into politics because the Oduduwa People's Congress, OPC, between 1999 and 2000 invaded the Ilorin with the sole aim of uprooting what he called Fulani structures. The NNPP chieftain said his northern group felt that was too much, adding that former President Olusegun Obasanjo and then Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu were doing nothing. Galadima said, some of us who recruited Buhari had a mission, and I will reveal that mission today. General Buhari came into politics, it was not his province. He never liked the politicians because he believed we are fake and that we do not mean what we say. Going forward, they say, but there was an incident that made some of us recruit him, convince him, and use other people to convince him to join politics, even though we had our own agenda. In 1999 and 2000, the OPC was on a rampage in some part of the country, especially the southwest, and had inconvenienced a lot of people from this part of the country to the extent that they mobilized over 500 vehicles to come and invade Ilorin with the sole aim of uprooting what they called Fulani structures in Ilorin. He said, we felt that was too much, and President Obasanjo was doing nothing. President Bola Tinubu, then governor of Lagos, was doing nothing. And some of us felt that those groups of people were being encouraged by their leaders in position of authority. So how do we stop that? I called a meeting in Kaduna, about 34 of us, and we sat down to reason. How do we save our people from this OPC menace? I suggested that we have to, because you remove government through only two ways, the barrel of gun and through the ballot box. And they said it was impossible to challenge General Obasanjo. That was how Buhari came to our mind. And when he was approached, he had very unlike words for politicians. But since he did not say he was not doing it, we still persuaded him. He go further to say that, to cut a long story short, we achieved our first purpose of putting a break on what the OPC was doing. Immediately Buhari joined partisan politics. We had a very big outing to initiate him into politics. The Obasanjo government became restive and was shaken to his bone marrow. Obasanjo had to really checkmate the OPC. So, for that reason, we achieved our first purpose of bringing General Buhari into partisan politics. The remaining now is history. This is exactly what came from Buba Galadima, a chieftain of the New Nigerian People Party. And again, if you equally just oppose it with the position of Kawu Garaje, who of course revealed recently that they were the one that brought in the Fulani militias from neighboring African countries with the sole aim of ensuring that Jonathan was unseated from the position of the president. And as we have it, they succeeded in removing Jonathan, and the problem, the menace of the insecurity they brought is still hitting everybody hard. It's still ravaging different parts of the country. That is why personally I've been advising that even the president should be very careful. Talking about Senator Bola Tinubu, with his approach, he must be very careful. Otherwise, the North will use this insecurity to demarket him. Because one thing is certain, it is irrespective of who brought the insecurity. It is irrespective of who orchestrated it. Everybody believe and know that the buck rests with the Mr. President, that the responsibility of protecting lives and property is upon his shoulder. So once there is insecurity, all accusing finger will be pointed at him, that he is not able to do it. That is why the president must rise to the occasion and do everything humanly possible, which is his power, to ensure that protection of lives and property is guaranteed. More so as the constitution gives him the responsibility. But again, let me quickly say that I'm equally pleased with the approach of federal government currently, a situation where Amateku is already in the southern part of the country, and the president himself has made it very clear that they are going to be allowing state police anytime soon. And apart from that, we have seen that the government are giving nod to the issue of forest guard. Not just giving nod, we have seen that the state governments have been directed by federal government to go forward and start recruiting 5,000, between 2,000 and 5,000 personnel, depending on their financial capacity to pay. We understand that the state like Enugu State already kicked into this, seeing that they already started enlisting personnel for the forest guard. And as at the last count, we understand that their salary have been slated for 80,000 per individual as a month. I know that is grossly inadequate, but I want to say that it's not a bad start. We can always improve on it. And this encourage other states, particularly the states like Kwara, states like Zamfara, Katsina, Plateau, Kaduna, to jump at this with the speed of light. As far as I'm concerned, personally, I've been an advocate, not just an advocate, a strong one, that the governors should not just go by the name of the governors and the chief security officer of their respective states, but rather that they should be allowed to parade some level of security power. And I want to believe that this issue of forest guard have come to engender that. They have come to give steam and energy to the state governors to actually parade that security power. Because personally, I took note of the statement that came from a former governor of Plateau State, talking about Jonah Jang, who once said that he did not command the fly. And I think for obvious reasons, I understand what he was saying, because as a governor, he do not command the security architecture in his state. Even as he go by the name of the governor and the chief security officer of the state, I could recall that even the years of Wike, while he was the former governor of Rivers State, he was quoted to have said that he is not the chief security officer of the state, rather the chief logistic officer. But don't get it twisted, he was not under any illusion about his responsibility as a governor of a state when it comes to security of lives and property. But the point is, he himself is a lawyer. He was saying it against the backdrop that the governor of a state do not command the security architecture in his state. So that's why I say I've been a good and a strong advocate that the governors should be allowed to parade some level of security power. And I want to believe that this forest guard has come to give them that opportunity to, of course, parade some level of security power, because hence the federal government through the Office of National Security Advisor have agreed that this forest guard will be trained, equipped. When we're talking about being equipped, we are talking about to the point of bearing arms and ammunition up to the capacity of combating this crime and criminality. Because we understand that these bandits with AK-47, all manner of sophisticated weapon, we have seen some videos that made around where you can clearly see them bearing, of course, guns with chain bullets. But let me quickly say that the lives of Ada Aleru, the lives of Toji Bello must wait for their day. Just as the two Ansaru terrorist leaders have been arrested, one already convicted on the ground of illegal acquisition of firearms and illegal mining. They are now waiting for a bigger one that borders on terrorism. I want to say that the lives of Ada Aleru, the lives of Toji Bello must wait for their own time, because definitely they must be arrested and prosecuted. The only thing the government need to do is to move in, like I always say, acquire monopoly of coercive power, smoke the bandits out of their holes, sell their running and bring them to justice. That is what makes the government ultimate. It makes no sense saying that you want to start negotiating with bandits, because if you do that, honestly, it means that the life of Nigerians, the life of even military personnel who die in their hands is not having value. That is the implication, and that is the perception it creates. Because I cannot forget in a hurry the statement that came from the then chairman, House Committee Chairman on Army from the Senate, talking about Senator Arlene Dube, who was revealed, I think in 2019, that only Maiduguri Cemetery is having about 840-something military personnel, soldiers buried there. And this is as a result of those who were killed by insurgents, by Boko Haram. So you now begin to ask, if you now create a window through which people repent, reintegrated into the society, not punished for the crime they committed, what is now, how do you want the families of those who lost their loved ones to feel? My issue is, if you are coming from a point of strength, the bandits, the terrorists will not have option. They will surrender and be prosecuted. The only option, the only reason you ask them to surrender without prosecution is if you are approaching them from a point of weakness. If they know, just like as the Nigerian government have gone ahead to acquire about 50 fighter jets, I think even the news of that alone is frightening. And I think we should start doing some level of show of force so that they will be forced, compelled to surrender to the armed forces. And once they surrender, they should be prosecuted to act as deterrent to others. Because by the time they surrender and you are giving them a slap on the wrist and asking them to go, I want to say that it is not going to be, that is not in any way going to deter any other would-be terrorists to change his or her mind. The only thing that deters them is the language of force, the language of the might of federal government, the language of coercive power to police every inch of Nigerian territorial integrity. And I want to believe that federal government of Nigeria will see reason to doing this, and I'm particularly encouraged with the statement that came from the Director General of DSS, who made it very clear that communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in case of invasion. And shortly after he said that, we saw the president giving nod to forest guard, even saying that he is going to allow state police. So I want to believe that his position, in a way, helped to shape the mind of Mr. President, because we know the strategic nature of DSS in Nigerian governance. So, but holistically speaking, I want to say that for we to see an end to all this myriad of challenges, the locals must play a pivotal role. They must play a pivotal role because it has been established that all crime is local. And if all crime is local, you must approach it from that local point. You must approach it from that point of view. Because the intelligence, actionable one for that matter, that you need to nip crime in the bud to address all these issues rests with the locals. So that is why the locals must be adequately and appropriately integrated into the system. I want to say that the issue of insecurity demands for synergy between the three tiers of government. Even as I say that the state governors, state governments should be allowed to parade some level of security power, even as little as it is, the local government chairman should equally be allowed to parade some level of security power. Because even when it comes to dissemination of intelligence, it has to come from the grassroots. And if the grassroots is not adequately integrated, it becomes difficult to transmit or disseminate such information. And most importantly, lest I forget, the traditional rulers have a pivotal role to play in this regard. Because these are people who have natural moral authority over the people. So by the time they are integrated, it becomes seamless for the locals to relate with them, give them actionable intelligence, and of course, they in their own position will be easier to relate with the security agencies, who of course will have the ultimate power to move into arrest and prosecute. Because the state we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Because the insecurity we hitherto see in the north is already here with us in the southern part of the country. That is why all hands must be on deck to ensure that we root out every issue of banditry. Call yourself Ada Aleru, call yourself Toji Bello, you must be arrested and prosecuted because they have wasted enough life. That is why I strongly go with the position of the former governor of Kaduna State, talking about Masi El-Rufai, who declared that bandits do not repent. That the only language they understand is to disalive them, send them to their creator, who had the ultimate power to judge them. And this is a man who was governed a state that is ravaged by insecurity. So I think he's speaking from out of experience. He has experienced what it takes. Because we have seen a recent time where even a supposed serving military officer who, will I say, sympathizer of terrorists, who will be hobnobbing with terrorists and even giving out ammunition of Nigerian army to them. He was good until he was arrested, and one could have imagined the damage that could have done if such character is not detected and he's allowed to be doing all of that. So that is why we are saying that let the governments at the center, particularly the president, use his good office to ensure that we restructure this country to the point where people own the security. Because if people own it, it will be extremely difficult for these bandits, who of course the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, alleged that most of them come from neighboring countries, according to him, some from Niger, Burkina Faso, Libya, and somebody will now be coming to canvass amnesty for them, talking about Sheikh Gumi. So the implication is that people who come from different parts of the world converge here in the name of banditry, in the name of bandits, in the name of terrorists. You will now give them amnesty, give them millions of naira, billions of naira. I think it's unacceptable. Even as government and even Mietiala denied it in the past, it is on record all over the media that the then government of Muhammadu Buhari gave 100 billion to Mietiala to curb insecurity. I don't know how they want to continue making Nigerians believe that they are interested in peace. But the question is, let Mr. President try to use his good office to restructure this country for the sanctity of lives and property. I must say, baby, thank you for your time. This is Sabla Media, and I'm Mr. Matu.